welcome to the first VoIPon podcast. We're here with Nick Galea, the CEO of 3CX. We're going to ask him some questions about 3CX, and my name's Kathleen Reed. So, Nick, I wonder if you could tell me why someone would choose a 3CX-based system over, say, the dominant open-source software, Asterisk.
Well, the main reason is that Asterisk is a Linux-based system, and 3CX is a Windows-based system. And I believe that companies that are running Windows networks and Windows servers will not want to get into, how Linux works just to run a phone system. So that's what we're seeing. All the Windows network administrators, they want to go VoIP, they want to have an IP PBX, they want a software-based PBX, but they want it on something that they know and trust. And that's therefore on Windows. And that's, of course, one of our big advantages over Asterisk. The feature set is also relatively extensive, and again, going back to Windows, we have integration with Exchange Server, Microsoft Outlook, and these are sort of things that, again, a Windows shop really wants to have, and only 3CX offers that on the Windows platform.
Okay, excellent. So what type of companies do you think would benefit most from choosing a 3CX-based solution?
Yeah, well, again, I tied into the last question is that, obviously VoIP in general and IP phone systems in general offer a lot of functionality for companies. I mean, they can save ongoing costs in terms of calling costs, but also management costs. The traditional PBXs are very expensive to manage. Often they require third-party consultants. And again, as I mentioned, especially for a Windows, a Microsoft shop, 3CX is a good solution. So I believe the companies that want to save costs, want to deliver mobility to their employees, and our Microsoft shops would want 3CX phone system.
Okay. So I think you've touched on this a little bit already, but why a Windows-only phone system? Do you foresee perhaps a port to Linux in the future?
Well, yes, no. In fact, when I looked at the market, several years back, is that there was, in fact, only Linux solutions. There are quite a lot of Linux solutions. I'm not sure why it was so Linux dominated, but there were a lot of Linux solutions. And of course, for a Linux, company with a Linux network, everything running Linux, that's fine, but not for Windows companies. So we wanted to build a system that didn't just run on Windows, but we wanted a system that was built for Windows, built to integrate with Windows applications, built for a Windows network administrator. And that's our big competitive advantage. And then, to a certain extent, making a port of our software for Linux doesn't really make sense because there's already quite a lot for Linux. And, as I mentioned, it's our main competitive advantage that we integrate and work on Windows.
I guess we should talk about what makes 3CX a cost-effective system. And, when you buy it, is it something that you own, or is it a software as a service model that you have to renew each year and continue to pay to use the product?
Yeah, no, actually, it's a traditional software model. You have to just buy the license and then you own it. And if you calculate that over a number of years, it's much less expensive. Sometimes hosted PBX is touted as, interesting, but if you calculate how much you're paying for it, it's a lot of money. So we offer our license for sale, and it's about 600 euros for 30 extensions. And also, I think of note is that we are open standard, so you can choose your type of phone, your type of gateway, and there's a lot of quality yet low-cost hardware available. And also, we are a software-based system. So it's a piece of Windows software. You install it. You can leverage quality, low-cost server hardware from HP, from Dell, any good brand that you want. They have low-cost quality hardware. And with that low-cost hardware, you could scale to a lot of extensions. Now, if you compare to a lot of the appliance products, which are on the market, often running Linux, they come with relatively, low processing power, and they don't really scale. So there are a lot of cost advantages to 3CX upfront, but also very importantly ongoing, because you're not tied into a piece of hardware. We won't make you buy a new server for nothing or something. And you can choose your own phones and gateways according to your budget and requirements.
Great. You make some excellent points there. So If you could tell me, I don't know, I guess in the process of delivering such a thing, you must have had some, challenges, or customers may find some challenges in delivering a software-based PBX system for the enterprise. Perhaps you can tell me a little about those and, what people might expect.
Yes. Well, when we set out to develop 3CX, we scanned the market, and we found that a lot of the systems available were very difficult to use. So they required a lot of, getting to know, besides, as we talked about Linux, you also needed to know a lot about IP telephony, about telephony in general, relatively complex. And so when we developed 3CX, one of our goals was to remove those challenges, to not require, a VoIP guru, to not require that someone knows how Linux works, how to update it, how to install drivers. We didn't think that should be necessary. And only if it could be easy to install and easy to manage, then it would be a success. So really along the way, what we've done to remove these challenges is that we've, as you said, of course, we made it run on Windows, which is most people understand how to run. But we also made templates to automatically configure IP phones. So you can just choose a particular brand that we support, and we support all the popular phones. You won't need to know how those phones, the internals of those phones work. Same for VoIP gateways. Of course, companies wish to connect their existing phone lines, ISDN, E1, normal analog lines, and you'd have to use gateways. But what we've done is we automatically configure those gateways for them. So again, the reseller or the network administrator doesn't have to know exactly how these gateways work. They don't have to understand the full internals and all the telephony, jargon. They don't need to understand that. So we've tried to remove all these complexities, remove all this jargon, so that the average network administrator can confidently manage a phone system. And that's what we've been, that's what we set out to do, and that's what we've been working on. And I think right now you're seen in the market as really the most easy to use and easy to deploy system.
Okay, sounds good. So I guess just one final question here for you. Where do you see the future of telephony going? Do you see any features in the pipeline that you'd like to share, or what might we expect from 3CX in the future?
Yeah, so I think, obviously everybody's going to be moved to an IP-based phone system, and obviously it's all going to be SIP-based. I think that's pretty clear. I mean, our also unique tack is that we are a software-based company. We make a software-based PBX because I see that there's still quite a lot of appliances, but I see a lot of the PBX is going to virtual appliances. So companies are moving towards virtualization. They're virtualizing their servers using VMware or Microsoft Hyper-V, and I see the same for the PBX. So they'll have the servers running VMware, ESX, or Hyper-V. They'll have their servers on there, and they'll also have their PBX on there. And in such a scenario, our software-based solution really has an advantage over the hardware appliances, which then look very outdated if you compare it to the future of virtualized PBX. So that's where I see it going. Of course, there are a lot of additional features that will come along, but I see it as one of the big things, that it will be software-based and probably in the future virtualized, just like all other servers will be at some point.
Okay, excellent. Well, I guess that wraps up our first interview here for the VoIPon blog. Thanks very much, Nick, for your time.
Thank you, Kathleen.